Hey, so 2023 is coming to an end, and I wanted to make a video to talk about what are the things that in 2024 are going to make you a successful product person. Let's talk about them. So, first of all, to be a successful person in product management, think about what do you have as your toolbox? What are the things or the skills that you can bring to the table? There are quite many things that you can work with. There are your skills that you can improve. There's tools that you can use, like frameworks or different tools that you are using for product management. I don't know, whatever you're using, Notion, Jira, whatnot, Aha. There's many tools out there. And there's also the people, the connection, the stakeholders, the network that you have to actually make you successful. I think that those three things are key for you to define success during 2024. And when it comes to this, I would give you a word of advice. Beware of all the content and all the constant bombardment that you see in social media about what are the most important skills or the most important frameworks for you to use to be a successful product person. Because in reality, product, as everything else in life, is a matter of having the right principles. And by having the right principles, I'm not saying that you have to be a completely great, beautiful, honorful person. It's not about that. It's that you understand the principles of product management. But being a good person, it also helps. So be a good person. And so when it comes to the principles of product management, there are going to be several things that you have to understand. First of all, you have to understand what is the problem that your customers have. Typically, if you're working for a for-profit company, which most of us are, if you don't know what a for-profit company is, it's a business that is trying to make money to either survive, to bring value to customers, or for whatever reason or vision they have for the business to exist. Basically, they are going to have a business, they sell products, and they are looking to be profitable. That's the case for most of the companies. Maybe some startups are more in the growth state and they don't care so much for profit. They're still a for-profit company at that point. If you are working for a non-profit, you probably know, usually those are more like non-governmental agencies and so on. But if you work for a typical business, what you are going to do, your job as a product manager is going to consist of solving customers' problems and making an impact to the company or the business. Solving customer problems should be relatively obvious. You are solving those problems by creating tools, products that are going to bring value to those customers. If you are a junior or a product manager that is not very experienced with business, which is probably common, so don't worry about it, I got you covered. What you had to look into making an impact to the business, the obvious thing is that the company is going to want to make money out of that product. And of course, it's going to want that that product is profitable. So it's actually the cost of making the product is lower than the money or the revenue that I'm getting for selling the product. So I have this margin, there's my profit. Very, very simplified, okay? So don't take it too seriously, but it's a simple analogy of how you make money and what is profit. Anyways, probably you knew that, but how can you do that impact? How can you affect that profit? How can you affect that revenue side or the business side of the company? There are many ways that you can affect this. The first one and the most logical one that comes to mind is to make it easier for customers to sell or to purchase your product. How can you do this? It's true that maybe you don't know how much a feature is going to bring money or be valued in a whole product. So for example, if you think about a camera within a phone, how much is worth it of the whole revenue that the company or Apple is getting from selling the iPhones? How much is worth that camera? Well, maybe Apple has some logic to do that, but it might be that many people don't know how to translate that value of that specific feature into how much money is that for the whole problem, overall product. What you want to make sure is that you are bringing value to a sizable amount of your customer base or of your potential customer base. So either you are building a feature that is going to affect many of your existing customers, meaning that it's bringing value to them, it's keeping them happy, it's keeping them purchasing or being subscribed to your product, or you are building a feature that is going to open the possibility of selling to new potential customers. For example, it might be that you are selling a product in an area, then you translate it into a new language that opens the market to a new area. That is an important thing. And there are other ways that you can affect the business side. Another ways that you can affect the business side is also helping to do the discovery of the product, helping to do the consideration. This can be more tricky and maybe they require you to be more advanced. Anyways, that is something that you have to pay attention to, how you are bringing that impact to the company. The next one is that you have to obviously solve customers' problems. How do you do this? Well, you probably know it or you have a relatively good idea, but you just don't, you have to have like a process of understanding which of these potential ideas that I get of new features, of new things that I could create in my product. I know that people don't want to talk about features. Features are here to stay, at least for a while, no matter what all the product creators are trying to tell you. Features are fine, they're not evil, they're just a tool to deliver value. And they're completely fine as what they are. Anyways, so enough of ranting. Let's focus on the positive things for 2024. What you want to do is that you want to see, you're going to get a lot of ideas. Let me recap. You're going to get a lot of ideas from many people. Customers first, that's obvious, and you had to talk with customers. You're going to get them from customer success representatives, salespeople, software engineers, other product people, people in different areas in the company, maybe even the news. Sometimes you get ideas just because you're watching a movie or you're watching something because you get inspired. And that happens, and that's good. But then you have to have a way of balancing these ideas and understanding which of those ideas really are going to have an impact or a bigger impact on the customers. This is very important. Then you're translating this to the impact of the business. So how much potential new customers, how many of the existing customers is this potential feature affecting? Understand what problems those customers have and understand how you can solve their problems. This is really key. And you can actually do, when you get new ideas, you have to understand how you can validate that these ideas are good. Because you will get a ton of ideas, they're many times no good. And they can come from many people. That means that the one that gives you the idea, doesn't matter if it's a customer or a salesperson or another product person, they might be wrong. It might be a wrong assumption for different reasons. It's not that they are always wrong by any means. But you have to have a way of validating this. And you can do this, for example, with surveys. You can just throw a survey out there and try to figure out if more people have this problem that this idea or suggestion is actually trying to improve. You have to have a way to validate this. And the more you are able to validate, then you are able to make better decisions. This is very important for you to be successful. And you have to talk with customers. Usually it's good to talk with as many customers as you can. The reality is that we all have many other projects that we are working, and then you end up having a little bit of a problem how often you can talk with your customers. In all honesty, nowadays in the work that I have at this point, I'm talking about 2 times per week with the customers, which is probably a little too much for many people out there. I think that once a week or once every other week, it could be enough. It depends a lot on the type of project and product that you're building, of course. And I think that that's going to change from case to case. But then when you have that communication within that active communication, then you get to understand them very well. You get to understand their problems very well. But you have to also manage expectations of what you're going to do. You have to understand that you cannot do everything. You're going to do everything they want, even if you want to, because they want many things, and it takes a lot of time to do all those things. So you have to have a way also for them to understand that when you're having these interviews, they're also sometimes more like a discovery phase that you're trying to figure out what the problems are. Manage the expectations so they understand that. So they don't understand that you're having an interview and they can come with a request list, which I have seen many times in different meetings. and they are going to expect you to go and implement them as soon as possible. Obviously, this is not a scalable solution. It doesn't matter if the customer is super important. If every customer that you have comes with that kind of list, even if it's only for your main customers, you probably will end up in a problem really, really fast. So you had to also set up a little bit the expectation for them to understand what you're trying to do. And then there was the thing that I was mentioning in the beginning of having your network or having your team or having your stakeholders, whatever you want to call it, these people that you can work with that are going to enable you to deliver on the value. This is very important, that you are able to build a functional team with everybody that you work. Whether you work in software company, then you have to work, for example, with your tech lead or software engineers, product designer, ideally with other people also that are involved in the process, like marketing, support, documentation, whatnot, so that you come up with plans that are aligned from the get-go, that everybody understands what you are trying to achieve. This is very important. If you are able to nail all these things, you are really going to be able to be much more successful. By the way, if this is giving you value and you think that this is important, please, I would appreciate it a lot if you give it a thumbs up. If you comment what you think that could make you successful as a product person during 2024. Lastly, I wanted to talk about the tools. And the tools is something that probably most of the product content creation channels or people out there are talking about. And it's funny that we talk so much about tools, and it's funny that we talk so much about value and bringing value to customers. And then we kind of despise talking about products or despise talking about features and so on, because features are tools to deliver value, basically, or the same as a product is a vehicle to deliver value. But tools are also a vehicle to deliver value to those customers. And when we're talking only about frameworks and about the tools that you can use for product management and about this tactic and that other tactic, those are just tools to do your job. So using analytics, using AI, all those are tools. They are very important, don't get me wrong. But starting with the tools is not going to make you the most successful. So I will leave the tools towards the end of the priority, because I think that in the end, there's many tools that you can use to do your work. And I think that using RISE versus Moscow versus Kano model versus whatnot framework to define if a certain feature is more important than the other, yes, important. You just have to have a way of prioritizing. The framework is just a framework. It's like the same as using Notion versus using Jira versus using, and we tend to be very, almost religious about tools, that Jira is much better than GitHub and is much better than Notion and is much better, blah, blah, blah. All these things. In reality, those are just tools. And usually you can just change one tool for another and do your job. Ones are going to adapt better, and you should do a research and you should care about that, and you should find the way of working or the way that works for you. But when you're just finding those tools, I think that should be in a way an important factor, but certainly understanding the principles is a much more important thing. You're there to bring value to your customers, and the product is the vehicle to deliver the value, the same as the features are. Tools are important, something that you will have to go through, something that you will have to decide that you have to purchase or adopt or whatnot. But I would say that I will put the priority maybe in these ones a little bit lower and decide those things once you start to have a little bit more like a working relationship with your team, understanding better what the value that you're bringing to your customer is. All this is going to be much more important. It's going to have a bigger impact on your career, on your development as a product person, and probably helping you grow more during 2024. And yes, pay attention to the tools and just find which one is your niche. So if you are looking and following different creators in product, you might be hearing about product growth, which is super awesome. Product marketing management, also really cool. There are many areas where you could go through in your career that might be interesting for you. Certainly look at them, AI, whatnot, but first get the principles nail down, understand them, and really apply them. And then you can start moving forward. That is the way that you're going to be much more successful in 2024. So what do you think? Do you agree? You don't agree? Please let us know in the comments below, and let us know if I missed some of the things or areas where you could improve during 2024. If you like the video, I would appreciate it a lot if you give it a thumbs up. We'll see you in the next one. And remember, stay safe.